Bastion is an action RPG where you play as a kid who wakes up floating in the sky after a calamity happened, and now you must make your way towards the Bastion, since that's the place where everyone agreed they would meet in case of an emergency. What calamity, you ask? Everyone who? Well, I'm being purposefully vague here because I believe the story in Bastion is something that's best experienced for yourself. You see, it's storytelling similar to games like Dark Souls or Lone Survivor. It's never in your face or directly told to you. Most of it is a mystery that you're going to be piecing together while you're actually playing the game. And when you do start to play, the first thing you notice is the gorgeous, colorful art style. It blends so well 3D and 2D that you're not really sure what is what. But even the beautiful art style is obscured by two things that really steal the scene throughout the whole game. First of them is the amazing soundtrack that manages to keep you in the moment-to-moment action, helps tremendously to put you in the flow of the game, and accentuates great story moments. Second is the narration. There is nothing particularly unique about the idea of using narration. It has been done before in other games, however what sets the one in Bastion apart is in how it's used. The narration adapts to major things you've been doing on the game's story, but also gives attention to little things like what path you chose to take or if you decided to change your weapons. For now I'm going to switch back to my bow as soon as I... Holy shit, that's annoying. There we go.
Windbags can't use the marshal's supplies, but the kid sure can.
Yeah, you can see. Let's try back as well.
He stashes the marshal's prize. Goes back to something more his style.
Speaking of weapons, you have 2 slots for weapons to your character, and a variety of choices in weapons, each with its own unique playstyle to choose. A playstyle that can be a ton further by upgrading the weapon. And it's not just an increase in the weapon effectiveness either. You can choose between 2 different upgrades at each upgrade level, further customizing it. To upgrade them, you're going to need fragments, which are the currency on this game, and an upgrade item specific to each weapon, most of which you can only find in the levels themselves by exploring them. Besides the weapons, you will customize your character further by equipping different tonics that give you passive bonuses. They can range from an increase in max health to more black tonics to use. You see, besides equipping 3 weapons, you can also equip 1 secret skill that needs 1 black tonic to be activated. Now these abilities are real game changers when you are in a tough situation. Now if you are feeling particularly confident about your skills, later on in the game you unlock the shrine that allows you to intentionally make the game harder, but as a trade-off you get more fragments and experience. That being said, I personally feel like some modifiers, like the ones that makes enemies HP regen, or the ones that makes enemies dodge attacks for a short while, make battles more frustrating and make them drag on more than to actually make them a bigger challenge to your skills. Any experience in this game feels low and actually leveling up takes a while, but from what I gather, leveling up only allows you to increase the number of tonics that you can use at any given time, and it also increases your maximum health by a little. For reference, I personally finished the game at level 6. That's basically it for my review of Bastion. I know, it's kind of short, but I don't want to delve too much into story details. And speaking of story, segue. If you don't mind spoilers, stick around for the thoughts on section of the video where we can talk more freely about story details, plot details, and other details. But for my finishing thoughts, please click on the annotation or go to this time in the video. Welcome to the thoughts on section of the video, and what a lovely journey has Bastion been. But here's the thing about Bastion, and you may disagree with me on this, but I don't think that the story in Bastion is particularly great. Now hold on, let me finish. I don't think the story in Bastion is particularly great. I think it is, in fact, quite normal, quite run-of-the-mill. What makes it interesting, what makes it great and fantastic, is the storytelling. Remember we were talking about Dark Souls and Lone Survivor? Yeah, the story in Bastion, when you really get down to it, is basically pretty straightforward. We have two people, the Ura, the Bastion. They used to be at war with each other, then they kind of went into a little bit of a cold war where people were kind of mistrusted each other, and then Ceylon basically made a doomsday device that did something to the Ura. It did the Calamity. Never really is explained out that well what the Calamity is, but it did it to it, and fucked them over, and fucked the world over while at it. And that's basically the story, but because you don't know that, it makes it great trying to go through it and trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this crazy world. The story is interesting because the player is personally invested in trying to figure out what's going on around here. And that's really, really great. And that makes something like, oh, we found out more about the marshals. If it was like a traditional RPG, you would walk to an NPC and say, well, tell me more about the marshals. Well, the marshals are these people who did this thing. But a lot of people who don't enjoy RPGs will be really bored in a few seconds. But because the marshals might have, learning about the marshals might give you a little bit more insight of the world, you are on the edge of your seat saying, yes, tell me more about the marshals, yeah, tell me more about them. And that's another thing that the Bastion does really well to complement that, is that information is scarce. It's not a game that you need to work your way to get the information. You don't go to an NPC and he starts talking at length about the story and stuff, or about what happened. Which can be kind of a problem. Rux can be a cryptic fucking asshole. He doesn't tell you anything straight when you just want to know what the hell happened here. But because that information is scarce, it makes it interesting. It makes it finding more about it interesting. And that's what I like about the Bastion. Is its storytelling is what makes the experience. Learning about stuff a little bit at a time. Little grains of information here and there that keeps your interest until the end of the game.
You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
Another thing I want to give praise to is the singing tracks and the emotional moments of the game. I mean, I don't really have too much to say about it. Besides, good job, good fucking job. I mean, holy shit, every time that a singing track came on, it just made that moment that much more memorable and that much more intense. That was a really, really good touch. The other thing that I thought was kind of a missed opportunity, but this is just like a random thought, super minor that popped up in my mind, was that the credit song doesn't change if you save or don't save Zolf. Because, like, the male portion of that track, I always related to Zolf, because when you save Zolf, that portion plays, and when you see Zia for the first time, you hear the female singing, so I related that to Zia. So I thought it would be kind of like a good touch to, if you don't save Zolf, you don't hear the male singing. Last thing that I want to talk about and give a little bit of praise was something that I didn't have much experience on, so I don't know the extent of it or how much there is. But new dialogue in New Game Plus, that's really interesting and cool, but I don't think I will went through a whole second playthrough just to see how much of it there is. But for those of you that don't know, basically if you finish the game by not going back on time, or by moving on with the Bastion and with the crew, if you do choose to go back on time, there's a line that Rux says to you. And when you start a new game, that line is played again, as if to say, it is some line like, I hope you remember this kid, or something like that. And if you do start the game, it plays that line right there. And as if implying that the second adventure that you are going through, the New Game Plus that you're going through, is actually heavy on the loop And later on, Rux changes his dialogue and says things like, huh, this seems a little bit familiar, or huh, deja vu, something like that. And that's really interesting, and that's one thing that I really love when games do, actually, which is to give a in-story, in-lore reason for something that we as players accept as a gamification. Like, for example, I'm not gonna say the name of the game, but there is a game that I really enjoy that basically has a plot twist where the game basically justifies the experience that you are getting through the game. It's an RPG, and the game justifies the experience as with an in-lore, in-story reason that makes sense. And that blew my mind because, you know, experience and stats a thing that we as gamers just accept. It's a game, it will have this. It's an RPG, it will have stats and shit like that. And New Game Plus is just another thing. It's just like, hey, here is a mechanic, here's a thing that games do, and then all of a sudden, bam, here's a story reason why you're doing this. It's just like, every time that something like this happens, just blows my mind away. And I think it's really worthy of praise to give to these people who took their time to think a little bit about how to tie everything together, and that's really awesome. Anyways, not anything else I want to talk about really. These are basically the things I wanted to call to attention. It was great. The story was great. There isn't much to talk about it, but I was engaged in it for sure. So why don't we go right ahead and finish with the finishing thoughts on Bastion? It took me a little over 12 hours to beat the game doing all the challenges, and I enjoy my time with it. The main meat of the game, the combat, is just as polished as other aspects of the game, and things like the soundtrack, narration, and want to know what's going on in this world make sure you keep playing it. I've had some issues with the gameplay, for example having the lock-on and the shield be on the same button, and being put into situations where it seemed unfair and nothing I could do would avoid my minute doom, but it could be that I was simply biting more than I could chew, since this game offers a Score Attack mode and a New Game Plus mode, both of which I barely scratch, with new tonics to be used and new gods to make things harder, and I didn't even have all the tonics locks unlocked at the time, so it just might have been something that is supposed to be done later, either when I have more tools to use or when I become more used to the game. At the end of the day, I would only not recommend Bastion to people who have no interest in its gameplay or the action RPG genre. As for the rest, striving to find out about the mysteries of Bastion, even if Rux can be a cryptic old man at times, is well worth the adventure. Guys, thank you so much for listening, for watching, and if I may indulge your attention for a little while longer, if you are still interested in Bastion, there's an entire let's play of me playing through it for my first time on this channel. So if you're wondering, hey, why didn't you talk about this, or why didn't you mention that part? Well, if I forgot something, there's a let's play for you to watch it, if you're still interested. Anyways, watch it or not, thank you so much for listening, for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye guys!